the first thing I remember was the cold. Not the cold of winter or wind, but the cold that seeps into your bones when you're closer to death than life. The bright hospital lights blurred above me as I struggled to breathe, each inhale scraping like sandpaper inside my chest. The machines beside me beeped in uneven rhythms, each sound reminding me that my heart could stop again at any moment. I had been dead. 4 whole minutes. Dr. Miller told me that himself, his face pale, his voice trembling as if he were the one fighting for life. But what haunts me more than those 4 minutes is what my children were doing while doctors brought me back. They were 30 minutes away, raising champagne glasses at a party. My hands trembled as I lay in that sterile room, the smell of disinfectant sharp in the air. It was 2 a.m., the hour when the world is quiet, the hour when a mother shouldn't be alone. Yet here I was, staring at the ceiling tiles, each one colder than the last, while my sons laughed somewhere under glittering lights and paint decorations. The nurse, Fiona, a young woman with soft eyes and a gentleness my own family has forgotten, whispered, "Mrs. Stone, please try to rest." I looked at her, wondering how a stranger could care more about my life than the children I raised. "Calm down," the doctor had said earlier. Calm? How does a mother stay calm after learning what I had learned? Dr. Miller had called my sons 2 hours earlier, telling them word for word, "This may be her last night." And Benjamin's response sliced straight into my heart. "Doctor, she can't expect us to leave. Diana planned this event weeks ago. My mom is strong. She always recovers." Always recovers. Those words echoed inside me like thunder. Yes, I recovered when their father abandoned me 25 years ago. I recovered while cleaning offices at dawn, waiting tables through exhaustion, sewing clothes until my fingers bled, just so my boys could have a life better than mine. I recovered when I sold my home, the only real thing I ever owned, so Isaac could buy his. I recovered when they borrowed my life savings and never paid it back. I recovered from every insult, every dismissal, every time they pushed me out of their lives. But this betrayal, I cannot recover from. 5 hours since I woke from surgery, not a single call, not a single text. Just silence and the sound of the heart monitor keeping me alive while my sons danced. While I lay fighting for my life, someone sent me a video of my sons celebrating. The pain in my chest wasn't just physical anymore. It was something deeper, heavier, a weight pressing down on my soul as the minutes crawled by. Fiona adjusted the blanket around me, her voice soft. "Your blood pressure is unstable. Try not to stress, Mrs. Stone. Try not to stress." If only it were that simple. Because 20 minutes ago, my phone lit up with a message notification. The first vibration since I woke up from surgery. For a brief moment, hope surged through me. Maybe one of my sons finally called. Maybe they were on their way. Maybe their conscience had woken up. But it wasn't a call. It wasn't a message from Isaac or Benjamin. It was a video sent by my neighbor, Mrs. Carter. And the moment I pressed play, my entire world tilted. Music boomed through my phone speakers. Pink balloons floated in the background. People danced under glittering lights. My sons, both of them, stood at the center of the crowd, raising champagne glasses, smiling like they didn't have a care in the world. Benjamin's voice, loud and cheerful. "Tamila, the most perfect hostess. What a night!" Isaac laughed, clinking his glass. They looked happy, relaxed, celebrating while I lay here, hooked up to machines after dying 3 times in an ambulance. The metallic taste in my mouth grew stronger. My heart monitor beeped faster, reacting to the storm inside me. Fiona rushed to my side. "Is everything all right?" I couldn't speak. How do you explain a heartbreak like this? In the video, the guests cheered. A woman in a pink sequin dress, Mila, kissed Benjamin on the cheek. Someone shouted, "Best party of the year." I felt something inside me crack. My boys weren't obligated to love me, but to not even care if I lived or died? The doctor's words replayed like a cruel memory. They said it's impossible to leave the party. They insisted you would recover as always. As if my life were a guarantee. As if mothers don't die. As if heart attacks respect family events. I closed the video with shaking fingers. For the first time in my life, I felt something colder than fear, sharper than grief. Resolve. Because if my sons had chosen their priorities tonight, then maybe it was time I chose mine. Maybe it was time they learned what it feels like to be left behind. At 2:37 a.m., I made a decision that would change everything. For them, and for me. The clock on the wall blew 2:37 a.m. The hospital hallway outside my room was silent. The kind of silence that feels like it's listening, waiting, watching. Fiona had stepped out momentarily to check on another patient, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the pain. Not the physical pain, the emotional one that felt like someone had reached inside my chest and twisted what was left of my heart. My sons were dancing, laughing, living their best lives, and I was lying here, kept alive by machines. I stared at the heart monitor. The numbers flickered softly. 82, 85, 88. Each beat felt like a reminder that I had survived for a reason. Survived long enough to finally open my eyes to a truth I had refused to see. I had spent my entire life giving love, giving money, giving chances, giving forgiveness. But they had taken those gifts and turned them into expectations. I had become replaceable. A convenience, a background character in their shining lives. A mother who was supposed to be strong, available, unbreakable. A mother whose needs didn't matter. That's when the anger shifted. It wasn't rage anymore. It was clarity. I made a promise, right there, right then. I whispered it into the quiet room, my voice barely a breath. From now on, I choose myself. The words felt foreign at first, like they didn't belong to me. But the more I repeated them, the stronger they became. I choose myself, my peace, my dignity, my life. A tear slipped down my cheek, not from sadness, but from release. For the first time in decades, I felt something warm inside me. Strength. Because all my life, I believed that motherhood meant unconditional sacrifice. But sacrifice without respect is self-destruction. The door creaked open softly, and Fiona peeked in. "Everything okay?" she asked gently. I nodded. For the first time tonight, I wasn't lying. I looked at the phone resting on my bedside. 5 hours since surgery. 5 hours since they were told I might not survive the night. Not a single missed call. And that was the moment the promise tightened inside me, like steel. If they didn't come tonight, I would not be there tomorrow. Not in the way they expected, not the mother they took for granted. Something inside me had shifted, and they didn't even know it. Sometimes, a stranger's words can sting deeper than your own children's silence. Fiona returned with a clipboard. her expression calm, but her eyes carrying a quiet concern. She had been checking my vitals for the past hour, silently observing me as I battled more than just pain. She noticed the tremble in my hands, the way my eyes darted to the door every few minutes, hoping against hope that someone would enter. "Mrs. Stone," she said softly, "I know this is hard, but I want you to know you're not alone." I looked at her incredulous. Not alone? After everything. After the calls ignored, the video, the party they chose over my life. You don't understand," I whispered, my voice hoarse. They knew. They knew I could have died, and they didn't even care enough to be here. She nodded slowly, sitting beside me. "I do understand, more than you think. But listen carefully. Sometimes the people we expect to care the most aren't capable of it. That doesn't make your pain any less real. It doesn't diminish your worth. It just shows you who truly values you." Her words struck me like a thunderclap. Sharp, true. I realized something horrifying and freeing all at once. For decades, I had measured love by sacrifice, by service, by what I gave. And all that giving had been taken for granted. "You deserve better than neglect," Fiona continued, her voice firm now. "Even your own children can fail you, but it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them." I stared at the ceiling, trying to absorb her words. And slowly, I began to see it clearly. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the endless history of being undervalued, it wasn't just an accident. It was a pattern. And patterns can be broken. I felt a strange calm begin to replace the anger. Not forgiveness, not yet, but clarity, a roadmap of sorts, leading me away from the pain and into something I hadn't felt in years: control. "Thank you," I murmured, my voice trembling with a mixture of relief and sorrow. I think I needed to hear that from someone else, because I can't expect it from them. No one should ever have to. Fiona smiled gently, squeezing my hand. The heart monitor's beeps became steady. The rhythmic sound no longer felt like a reminder of fragility. Instead, it felt like a heartbeat of possibility, of power, of a mother finally reclaiming herself. And for the first time that night, I made another promise. Not whispered, not shaky, but bold. I will live, and I will make sure they understand what they lost and what I am worth. They thought forgetting the past would erase their guilt, but memories have a way of demanding justice. As I lay there, the rhythmic beeps of the heart monitor mingling with the faint hum of the night, my mind drifted back. Memories, sharp as shards of glass, pierced the sterile calm of the hospital room. Each one reminded me of how I had sacrificed, endured, and survived, only to be overlooked, dismissed, and betrayed by those I loved most. I remembered the night their father left us. 25 years ago, a man who vanished as if our family had been nothing more than a temporary inconvenience. 2 teenagers, a mountain of bills, and a frightened mother staring at the empty doorway. I had cried, yes, but I had picked myself up. I had done everything alone because there was no one else. Then came the years of endless work, dawn cleaning offices, waiting tables during the day, sewing late into the night. My fingers bore the scars of those long hours, a constant reminder of everything I had done to give them a better life. Each stitch in the fabric of their childhood was a testament to love, patience, and unwavering sacrifice. And yet, with every achievement of theirs, my presence became invisible. Isaac's house needed a down payment, and I sold the greenhouse I had loved since childhood. Benjamin's failed business drained my life savings, and all he said was, "It's safe, Mom. I'll pay it back." 8 years later, not a dime returned. Then came the small, crushing humiliations. Mela mocking my olive green dress at a Christmas dinner, Diana abandoning my Sunday dinners in favor of takeout, invitations quietly disappearing over the years. Each act chipped away at my heart, teaching me the cruel lesson that love could be conditional and gratitude optional. But tonight was different. Tonight, betrayal wore a new face. It wasn't money. It wasn't criticism. It wasn't even neglect. It was life itself, my life, weighed against pink party decorations and champagne toast. And they had chosen the latter. I clenched the blanket, feeling the weight of everything that had come before, everything I had endured. And in the depths of my fury, I realized something vital. Pain could either break me or make me unstoppable. For the first time, I understood the power of intentional living. Every slight, every betrayal, every scar was no longer a mark of weakness. It was fuel. Fuel to reclaim my dignity. Fuel to rise above those who took me for granted. I closed my eyes for a moment, imagining their surprised faces when they finally understood that I would no longer be at their beck and call, that the mother who had survived everything would now survive for herself. And a single thought burned in my mind like fire. They will never take me for granted again. I realized that surviving wasn't enough. I had to make them feel the weight of their choices. The hospital room was quiet now, but my mind buzzed with an electric intensity. Every memory, every betrayal, every ounce of exhaustion and rage coalesced into one undeniable truth. I could no longer be the woman who silently endured. Not after tonight, not after dying, literally, and watching them choose a party over my life. I stared at the heart monitor, the steady beeps a rhythm to my resolve. I had spent decades giving my children everything, yet they had never understood the price of my sacrifices. They had grown comfortable, entitled, believing my love was infinite and unconditional. Tonight was proof that I could no longer allow that illusion to persist. I made my decision then, as clearly as if it were etched into stone. I would take control of my life, completely. First, I would reclaim my space, my home, my routines, my happiness, no longer dictated by their whims or their convenience. No more silent suffering when they criticized or belittled me. No more bending myself to make them comfortable. From this night forward, my life was mine. Second, they would feel the absence, not as punishment, not out of spite, but as a natural consequence of their choices. They had chosen the party. They had chosen Mela over me. And now they would see what it meant to lose the presence of someone who had given everything without question. Fiona returned to check my vitals, and I realized I didn't need anyone else to validate my feelings. I wasn't a victim, I was a survivor. And survivors make decisions that prioritize life, dignity, and self-respect over empty loyalty. I pictured their shocked faces when they learned that their mother, the one who had always been there, would no longer automatically drop everything for them. I imagined the unease, the guilt, the sudden understanding that love is not a guarantee. and that sometimes those you take for granted can choose to step away. My fingers gripped the bed rail as clarity flooded through me. I would call no one tonight. I would accept no visitors until I decided it was time. I would rest, heal, and rebuild. And when the time came, I would confront them not as a pleading mother, but as a woman whose life mattered more than their convenience. For the first time in years, I felt powerful. Not angry, not hurt, powerful. Because survival wasn't enough. Thriving on my own terms was the only path left. And as I drifted into a light, cautious sleep, I promised myself one last thing. When they come for me, they will find a mother they can no longer control. And perhaps, for the first time, they will see me clearly. I had survived death itself. Yet tonight I would test if my silence could speak louder than any words. Morning came slowly, the sun casting weak golden stripes across the hospital room. The world outside seemed oblivious to the storm that had roared inside me just hours ago. Machines continued their steady chorus. Fiona moved efficiently from patient to patient, and yet I felt a strange kind of serenity settling over me. It was time to put my promise into action. I picked up my phone. My son's names stared back at me, Benjamin and Isaac. Normally, I would have called, texted, checked on them, tried to calm their guilt. But today was different. Today, I would let my absence speak louder than any plea. No message, no call. For a moment, my fingers hovered over the screen. Doubt whispered, "Is this too cruel?" But then I remembered the video, the champagne, the laughter. My anger, tempered now with clarity, reminded me that this was not cruelty. It was boundary. It was the first act of reclaiming my life. Hours passed. The hospital nurses came and went, and still my phone remained silent. Not a single check-in from my sons, no apologies, no excuses. Just the echo of their decision ringing in my ears. Then the first test came. A distant knock at the door. Not a nurse, not a doctor. The cleaning staff left the hallway door ajar. A family friend who had heard I'd been admitted peeked in, smiling nervously. "Mrs. Stone, is everything okay? Your children?" I raised a hand gently. "Everything is fine. I'm resting." Her smile faltered. Something unspoken passed between us. For the first time, I felt the weight of their realization creeping in. My sons would be hearing soon that I was taking a step back, that I would no longer be a safety net, that they could not assume my presence, my forgiveness, my endurance as an unending resource. Even the silence felt loud. I could feel it vibrating through the phone, through the empty hallways, through the pink-lit world where my children partied. It was a test of their conscience, and the results, so far, were telling. I closed my eyes and let the clarity settle. Each heartbeat, each beep of the monitor reminded me I had survived the impossible. I could endure their absence. I could withstand their indifference, and I would emerge stronger, unshaken, unbending. In that silence, I began to understand the power I now wielded. They thought my silence was temporary, until they received a message that turned their world upside down. By late afternoon, the hospital was buzzing with routine sounds. Rolling carts, distant footsteps, muffled conversations. But inside my room, there was a stillness so sharp, it felt intentional, purposeful, almost sacred. I had spent years waiting for my sons, waiting for them to call, to need me, to appreciate me. Not today. Today, they would wait. It was nearly 5 p.m. when Fiona walked in with my updated charts. "Your heart is stabilizing," she said with a warm smile. You're stronger than you think. I exhaled slowly. Strong, yes, but strength meant nothing if I kept pouring it into people who didn't value it. I took my phone again and opened the messaging app, not to write to my sons, but to write to someone unexpected. My lawyer. Yes, my lawyer. A man I hadn't spoken to in 4 years, ever since the small dispute over my old home documents. But tonight, I needed him. Not for revenge, but for clarity, for structure, for protection of the life I had left. I typed slowly. Mr. Collins, please call me tomorrow morning. I need to update my medical directives and revisit my will. Strictly private. I stared at the message for 3 full seconds before hitting send. This wasn't about punishing my children. This was about finally valuing myself. The moment the message delivered, a strange calm washed over me. For the first time in decades, I felt in control. Not reactive, not wounded, but deliberate. Just then, as if the universe wanted to test my resolve, my phone buzzed. A message. From Isaac. My breath caught. Finally. But when I opened it, the hollowness in my chest returned. Hey, Mom. Heard you were in the hospital. Everything okay? We're wrapping up the party now. I'll come by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning? Tomorrow. I lay in this bed after 3 cardiac arrests, after being dead for 4 minutes, and all he had was a casual tomorrow? I stared at his message until the letters blurred. Then, for the first time in my life, I didn't reply immediately. No comforting, no excuses. No, it's okay, take your time. No softening of his guilt. Instead, I wrote a single, simple message. I'm resting. I will let you know when I'm ready for visitors. And then I put my phone face down. Not another word, not another chance for them to walk over my heart. The power of that message wasn't in what I said. It was in what I didn't say. Because for the first time in decades, they couldn't predict me. They couldn't depend on my forgiveness. They couldn't assume my presence. I knew it, and deep down, they were about to know it too. It took hours for them to realize, but panic is always louder than regret. By evening, the house where my sons had celebrated Mela's party was buzzing, but this time the atmosphere was different. Subtle at first, then mounting. Their laughter, once carefree, was now tinged with unease. Isaac checked his phone nervously. Ben, did Mom reply yet? Benjamin scrolled through his phone, eyebrows knitting together. No, nothing. Just that she's resting. I don't get it. She's always fine. She's always been fine. Ben, this is different, Isaac muttered. You remember last night, the ambulance, the surgery? She could have died. Benjamin scoffed, though there was a flicker of unease in his eyes. Yeah, I know, but she recovers. She always does. She's Mom. That phrase, she's Mom, had been their shield for decades. A guarantee that no matter what happened, she would bounce back, forgive, and forget. But tonight, that shield was cracking. Hours passed. Messages sent, unanswered. calls made, ignored. The first prickle of fear began to creep into their hearts. They didn't understand it yet. How could they? Their mother had always been their safety net, their quiet background, the woman who silently endured every insult and oversight. But now, she was gone, at least from their world. Not permanently, yet her absence was loud, deafening, and impossible to ignore. Benjamin finally blurted, "Isaac, maybe we messed up. She's not answering. What if she's, upset?" Isaac's face paled. Upset? She's never just upset, Ben. Remember last Christmas? The dress comment, the dinners? Mom doesn't forget, and she doesn't just stay silent without reason. A cold realization began to set in. The panic, the guilt, the first taste of fear for a son who had always assumed his mother's forgiveness was eternal. Meanwhile, I lay in my hospital bed, unaware of the growing storm in their home. I wasn't plotting revenge, not yet, but I allowed myself a quiet satisfaction, the first spark of their realization that my life, my presence, and my love were not guaranteed. The quiet of the hospital night and the steady beeps of my monitors mirrored the slow awakening of consequences. For years, they had taken me for granted. Tonight, the first waves of understanding, tinged with panic, were beginning to hit. And as I closed my eyes for a moment, a thought surged. Let them feel the weight of their choices. Let them understand what it means to almost lose someone who has always been their world. The night deepened, but inside the house, Isaac and Benjamin felt something tightening around their chests. Their phones kept lighting up, not with replies from me, but with silence that grew heavier by the minute. Isaac paced back and forth. "Ben, say something. What if she's actually mad? What if something happened?" Benjamin's voice cracked just slightly. "No, Mom doesn't get mad. She gets disappointed, and that's worse." For the first time, both brothers sat down, really sat down, and allowed a bitter truth to settle in. They hadn't checked on me. They hadn't visited. They hadn't asked if I was okay after the ambulance, the surgery, the fear. Benjamin swallowed hard. Last night, she looked so pale, and we left. We left her alone. Isaac's eyes glistened, though he tried to hide it. We were celebrating Mila's birthday while Mom was in pain. Who does that? What kind of sons are we? Their guilt began to claw deeper. "Remember when we were kids?" Isaac whispered, staring at the floor. "She never missed a school event, never missed a single thing for us, even when she was sick." Benjamin nodded. "And we can't even give her one night." A silence fell, heavy, crushing, unavoidable. For years, they assumed my love was unconditional, endless, and immune to hurt. They thought mothers don't break, they bend. They thought apologies could always come later. But now, later had run out. What if she's not answering because she's hurt? What if she's finally done with us? The idea gnawed at them. Suddenly, Benjamin whispered, "Do you think Mom realizes how much she means to us?" Isaac sighed, voice shaking. I don't think we've shown it in a long time. Their memories spiraled. The missed dinners, the forgotten calls, the careless remarks, all the tiny cuts they never noticed, cuts that had slowly bled me dry. Meanwhile, back in the hospital, I lay quietly, unaware of the earthquake happening inside my son's heart. I wasn't planning anything cruel. I wasn't punishing them. But for the first time, I had chosen myself, and that was enough to shake them. Underneath their fear, guilt blossomed, raw, real, and unavoidable. They realized something they had never considered. Maybe we're the reason she feels alone. Their breaths grew unsteady. Their hands trembled. Their hearts cracked open. For the first time in years, they felt what I had felt for decades: guilt, regret, and the fear of losing the one person who had loved them beyond reason. After decades of silence, the conversation I had avoided for years was about to arrive, and nothing would ever be the same. The next morning, sunlight filtered weakly through the hospital blinds, casting stripes across the room. I sat upright in bed, the sheets pulled tight around me like armor. Each breath was steady now, each heartbeat a reminder that I had survived what should have killed me. But surviving wasn't enough anymore. I had to assert control to ensure that my life, my dignity, and my boundaries were respected. The phone buzzed intermittently, and I ignored it. Calls from friends, family, even the hospital front desk. None mattered. Today, my attention was focused inward. My sons would come eventually. They had no choice. The confrontation was inevitable, and I was preparing for it, mentally and emotionally. Memories of past betrayals surfaced again, sharper in the quiet morning. Benjamin borrowing my life savings and never returning it. Diana abandoning my Sunday dinners. Mela mocking my dress in front of everyone. Each memory was a brick in the wall I had been building around myself for decades. A wall of resilience, strength, and now of self-respect. I rehearsed the words I would say, imagining their faces as they tried to justify, apologize, or excuse their actions. I would not falter. I would not soften. Their panic, their guilt, their attempts at reconciliation would be met with honesty and firmness. Fiona entered quietly to check my vitals. "You look strong today," she said with a gentle smile. "More determined than yesterday." I allowed myself a small nod. Determination. Yes, that was the feeling. The clarity that had taken root in me was now ready to bloom. The first text arrived. Isaac. Short, hesitant. "Mom, can we come see you?" I didn't reply immediately. My silence was intentional. I wanted them to feel the weight of their choices. I wanted them to understand that forgiveness is not automatic and love is not a guarantee. As the morning stretched on, my anticipation grew. Every creak of the hospital door, every footstep in the hallway could signal the arrival of the sons who had taken me for granted for decades. The confrontation would not just be a conversation. It would be a reckoning. And in the quiet of the room, surrounded by machines that kept me alive, I felt a surge of power. A mother who had survived death, betrayal, and neglect was now finally in control, and they would have to face her on her terms. For the first time, I smiled with confidence, not relief, because the confrontation wasn't about anger. It was about truth, respect, and reclaiming my life. They walked into the hospital thinking it would be a quick visit, but reality hit them like a freight train. By late morning, the hospital corridor outside my room was filled with the soft echo of hurried footsteps. The familiar rhythm of approaching panic reverberated through my chest before I even saw them. Isaac and Benjamin appeared in the doorway, faces pale, eyes wide, breaths uneven. The contrast to their carefree laughter at the party couldn't have been starker. "Mom," Isaac started, voice trembling. We didn't realize. Benjamin's hands fidgeted nervously. "Mom, I lifted a hand to silence them. The weight of years, the lessons of betrayal, and the moments of endurance had prepared me for this. I would not be interrupted, excused, or placated. Today, they were not in control. I was. They looked at me, for the first time really seeing me, not as a mother who always recovered, not as a background presence, but a woman who had given everything and had finally decided to reclaim her life. I've read your messages, I've seen the video, and I felt the consequences of your choices." Their eyes darted between themselves and the heart monitor, realizing that this wasn't about anger. This wasn't about punishment. This was about truth. Isaac swallowed hard. "Mom, we didn't mean." "No," I interrupted softly but firmly. "You didn't mean. You chose. And your choices have consequences." Benjamin's face went pale. The weight of guilt hit him fully. "Mom, I was at the party. I didn't think." "You didn't think?" I echoed, letting the words hang in the air. "While I was literally dying, you didn't think I mattered enough to pause your convenience, to prioritize your mother's life over a party?" Silence fell. The only sounds were the faint hum of the hospital machines and their ragged breathing. I could see the guilt beginning to consume them. The realization that the woman they had assumed would always forgive, always endure, was now setting boundaries, was now asserting her presence, was now demanding respect. This confrontation was not vindictive. It was overdue. And I allowed myself a moment to watch them unravel in the reality that they had ignored for decades. Because finally, they understood something crucial. Love cannot be taken for granted. Respect cannot be assumed. And a mother's endurance, while extraordinary, is not infinite. And as they stood frozen, I felt a sense of power I had never felt before. Not because I could punish them, but because I could finally protect myself. Sometimes the right words spoken at the right time can shatter assumptions and open eyes. They stood in the doorway, guilt heavy on their shoulders, unsure of how to act, unsure of what to say. I sat upright in the hospital bed, my posture straight, my hands resting calmly on the sheets. For the first time, they were not the center of the narrative. I was. "I've spent my life giving," I began, my voice firm, steady. "Giving my love, my time, my money, my energy, everything I had. And I never asked for much in return, except respect, care, recognition." Their faces grew pale. Benjamin's eyes flickered down. Isaac's hands twitched nervously. "But last night, when my life hung by a thread, when I was literally dying, you chose a party over your mother. You chose convenience over compassion. You chose someone else's comfort over my survival." A sharp intake of breath. Silence. My words cut through the tension like a knife. But not cruelly. They were necessary. "You have spent years taking my presence for granted," I said, leaning forward slightly. "You've forgotten the sacrifices, the nights I stayed awake worrying for you, the work I did to give you everything. And now, finally, I am taking a step back, not out of spite, out of necessity. I am choosing myself, my life, my dignity." Benjamin finally spoke, voice barely above a whisper. "Mom, I didn't realize. We didn't think. Isaac echoed the sentiment, eyes wide. We were wrong. We should have. I held up a hand, stopping them. It's too late for excuses. What matters now is understanding. Understanding that love isn't a guarantee, that forgiveness isn't automatic, and that your mother's life is not something you can gamble on. Tears welled in their eyes, and for the first time, I saw genuine remorse. Not performative, not fleeting, but real. The kind that comes when someone finally comprehends the weight of their actions. And I knew in that moment that my words had shifted something irrevocably. I had reclaimed control over my life, my story, and my presence. I was no longer invisible. I was no longer taken for granted. I was seen, truly seen, for the first time in decades. And the sons who had once assumed their mother's endurance was infinite now faced a new reality. They had almost lost her, and they would never take her for granted again. The first step toward healing is seeing the truth, no matter how painful it is. After the confrontation, a heavy silence settled over the room. The guilt in their eyes had softened, replaced with tentative understanding. They were beginning to see what I had lived with for decades. The sacrifices, the endurance, and the invisible weight of a mother who had always put them first. I allowed myself a slow exhale, feeling a strange mixture of relief and exhaustion. The confrontation had been necessary, but it had also been draining. I had spoken my truth, and now, for the first time, I felt a shift. Benjamin finally spoke, his voice low and sincere. "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I never thought about everything you've done for us." Isaac nodded, voice shaking. "We've taken you for granted. We thought you'd always be there. But last night, we saw how wrong we were. We were selfish." I met their eyes, letting the weight of my gaze communicate what words alone could not. I said softly, "It's not just about last night. It's about years of taking me for granted. And it's about learning to respect not only my love, but my life. You don't get to assume it will always be available." The tears in their eyes weren't just from guilt. They were from recognition, from understanding the depth of what they had ignored for so long. And in that recognition, a fragile bridge began to form. I felt the first flicker of forgiveness, tempered by the strength I had regained. This wasn't about returning to the past or erasing the hurt. It was about acknowledgement, about beginning to rebuild a relationship on terms of mutual respect and care. I said quietly, "Thank you for saying that. It means something, but actions speak louder than words. Show me that you understand. Prove it, not just today, but from now on." And as the sons nodded, solemnly and earnestly, I realized something profound. This was the start of true healing, not just for them, but for me. For the first time in years, I wasn't just surviving. I was living on my own terms, reclaiming my dignity and setting boundaries that would protect me going forward. The journey wasn't over, but for the first time, it felt like it could be. Sometimes, losing control of everything is the only way to finally take control of your life. Evening fell over the hospital, painting the walls in a warm amber light. The confrontation, the truth spoken, the guilt faced, all of it had shifted the dynamic completely. My sons sat quietly beside my bed, no longer the entitled boys I remembered, but two men beginning to understand the magnitude of their mother's life and love. I looked at them, my heart steady, my mind clear. I was no longer the woman who silently endured. I had survived death, betrayal, and neglect, and emerged stronger. This was not revenge. This was reclamation. "Mom," Benjamin whispered, voice choked with emotion. "We promised to do better, to respect you, to value you, to be there for you." Isaac nodded solemnly. "We understand now. We'll never take you for granted again." I smiled, a genuine, calm smile that radiated the strength I had fought so hard to reclaim. "It's not just about promises," I said softly. "It's about understanding the worth of someone who gives everything without question and never losing sight of it again." In that moment, I realized something crucial. Life isn't about endless sacrifice. Life is about balance. Giving, yes, but also knowing when to stand firm, when to say no, and when to protect yourself. And tonight, I had done all of that. Fiona peeked in to check my vitals, and I gave her a small nod of gratitude. She had been there in the quiet, supporting me without judgment. Her presence reminded me that true care doesn't demand sacrifice. It chooses it willingly. The sons, humbled and aware, sat in quiet reflection. The weight of their actions had finally settled in, but I could feel something else growing. Not fear, not guilt, but respect. A respect born from witnessing a mother who would no longer be invisible, who would no longer be taken for granted, who would finally live fully for herself. For the first time in decades, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. I was choosing myself, and that choice was absolute, unshakable, and beautiful. As the night enveloped the hospital, I felt an incredible sense of peace. The past had been acknowledged, the present reclaimed, and the future, my future, was finally mine. I had been taken for granted for too long, but tonight, I was finally seen.